Hello, hello, hello. This is Mark Adams with MCA Certified Tax Preparers, but I'm here with Maria Rini, who is a real estate broker with the Welcome Home team at Remax. You're listening to our podcast, Business Stories of Success, and I'm really geeked because I know Maria personally, and I'm excited to have you join us. So welcome, Maria.
Thank
How
you,
are
Mark.
you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Awesome, awesome. I'm just so glad because when I was thinking about who I can invite, a lot of people I know, a lot of people I don't know who are starting to do our podcast, but the ones that I know, I get really excited because I know that they have success and I've seen the way you've built it, at least from my point of view, from the outsider's point of view. It'd be nice for our listeners to understand how you define success and how you build it. So I'm excited. Thanks for giving me a few minutes today.
I'm delighted.
So let's get started. Let me ask you our first general question. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What's your business? What role do you play?
My name is Maria Rini, and I'm a real estate broker, and I run a team. And my husband is my partner. We have been selling homes for 26 years. We have a full-time administrative assistant, who we call our client care manager. Her name is Judy Wong, and she's a desk jockey. She's the in-house, making everything happen person. And we also have another younger agent on the team, Corey Waters, and he's licensed in New York and New Jersey. He's a real estate agent as opposed to a broker. And I guess that's the Reader's Digest version.
Okay, so now you said your husband and you are partnering, right? Husband-wife combination. Tried that with my wife. No, sometimes you get these challenges, but that's cool because you guys make it work. And we've actually, I know you've worked with some of my friends even and helped them, and they work with both of you as well. So what's your role specifically in the business?
Yeah, so I'm the team leader. I have responsibility for kind of the vision for the business and the overall operation of the business. And I'm the rainmaker.
Okay.
You've got to get the business. That's my primary job.
Awesome. Now, I'm going to digress. We have our set of questions we always have, but when I hear some owners drop new terms that we might not have heard on the podcast before, I just kind of have to ask. You use the phrase rainmaker. Can you just give us a little bit about what a rainmaker is?
Yeah. So any business needs to do a great job for its clients, customers, whatever. But you can't do a great job for your clients and customers if you don't have any. So somebody's got to go make sure your sales pipeline is full. You've got to have clientele or you don't have a business. And my job is to make sure we've got a steady stream of people that we can service.
Wow, awesome. That is that term rainmaker, I learned that several years ago, and I was like, man, that's what I want to be, the rainmaker. Oftentimes when we're in business, we're so busy just doing the tasks that we forget that there needs to be somebody who's making it rain. So
yeah, and I was thinking about this, Mark, in anticipation of meeting with you today. There is a book called The E-Myth Revisited, written by a man named Michael Gerber. It's a nice short read. It's written in story form, so it's very digestible. And I had read it many years ago. And the message in the book is that there are many facets to a business, and you can't do all of them. You've got to have some kind of assignment of duties within the business. So in us running a team, my primary job, as I said, is to fill that pipeline with future clients. And Rich, my husband, his primary job is to make sure that those clients are very well taken care of, every facet of their transaction. What you might think more of as, in some sense, a traditional realtor's role. So his, where I will identify the client, meet with the client, come up with the marketing plan for their home, decide what we need to do and how the home is to be priced. Rich will then carry out that game plan, and I can move on to focusing on the overall plan for the next client. And then Judy supports Rich in that she is the master of the paperwork and compliance and everything that has to happen online, making sure that the marketing channels are all open and the properties are being publicized in the right places. And Corey does all our videography. So we're virtual tours, and right now virtual open houses come into play. We determine what has to happen. Corey's the guy in the field doing that. He's managing the buyers that are visiting the properties. So we've all got a different role on the team. And then we have other service partners that we work with, not full-time employees on the team, if you will, but people that we rely on for things like marketing, staging, other facets of the business where they're service partners in the sense that they service our clients. We rely on them because they do a great job. And, but these are things that everybody functions in their own space so that we can bring all these, the best of all these different elements to bear on the client. And we're not jack of all trades, master of none.
Awesome, awesome. Now you dropped a whole lot of jewels.
Sorry.
No, that's what this is all about. This is all about helping people to understand what success is and what it takes to get there, and that vision. And so, your business sounds like that well-oiled machine that can make success possible. If you set it up the right way, you can make it prolific. You can get there a lot faster. So I'm glad you dropped that on us. The book you mentioned, The E-Myth, amazing book. I read that book, I guess last year, and it changed so much about even me. And I've been in business now for almost 20 years. I'm like, oh my goodness, had I known that back then. So, yes. Applying those principles, you can see how your business can just grow and flourish, and you can do whatever you want with it because you've already identified how to make it scalable and still not be overwhelming. So your layout is awesome. If there's a real estate agent or broker who's listening to this right now, they're like, man, I need to write notes, because that's how you make it powerful. I like that. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, but I'm coming at it from here, not from, 15 years ago when I was crying because I had it wrong and I was overwhelmed and I was pulling my hair out. It's hindsight that has given me some of this perspective. So.
Absolutely. And that's why we interview, right? Somebody who's starting their brokerage today, they might not be as well versed. So it definitely is something, you mentioned a lot of points, but what I talk about all the time with my clients is not to be focused on working in the business, but working on the business, right? And if you can step back and start working on the business, now you're going to start to see success in a different way. So that's awesome. And that's what seems to be the case with you. You figured out a long time ago to start working on the business, not just to go out and sell homes, but to figure out how to do it in such a way that you can grow your pipeline of business, make sure that they're still serviced, make sure everything is flowing, everybody has a role. That is how you have a successful business, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, but Mark, I didn't do that by myself either. I had the help of a coach. And I think that is essential, having somebody else take an outside look at what you're doing. And because sometimes you're just so immersed in working in your business that you can't take that 20,000 foot view. You need somebody else to say, but say for yourself, look at the numbers. You can't do that, or that's not sustainable. You're going to need to find a different way of doing that. And so you do need that outside coaching, mentoring, whatever, somebody to help you
Get to
what
where you want
needs
to
to
go.
happen.
Absolutely. So now you're jumping all over my question because I have a specific question about coaches. So I want to
Okay.
talk about that a little bit further, but that's cool because I wholeheartedly agree. I was in business for a lot of years. I said, I'm not spending no money on no coach. And then I realized, I had gotten my business to here and I just couldn't get past that. And I was missing something. So yeah, but we'll get into that. I want to get into that definitely a little bit more as we move down into our discussion, but a little bit more about you because we want people to find you. Do you have a website?
Yes. So we call ourselves the Welcome Home Team. It's the Welcome Home Team with dashes.com or bergenhouses.com. Both roads will lead you to us.
Okay. All right. So let's get that right. Because every time I do this, I think if it were me and I'm trying to find somebody and I hear it the first time, I've forgotten it by now. So it's the Welcome
Home Team.
Welcome Home, not the.
Yeah, no, the Welcome Team. Or bergenhouses.com. That one.
Bergenhouses.com.
Yeah, for Bergen County.
All right. Bergen County, New Jersey. Awesome. And what's your business phone number?
Easiest way to get me is on my mobile, and that's 201-615-4783.
Okay. One more time.
201-615-4783.
Awesome. So now you touched on it a little bit, but how long have you been in business?
26 years.
So you are a veteran, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They say, I think the number is, the statistic is 50% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. Have you ever heard that statistic?
Yeah. And we've got a higher failure rate in real estate.
Yeah.
It's a very low barrier industry to get into and very easy to get out too.
Yeah. And so, 26 years, that's amazing. That's phenomenal. So it only makes sense that this question would arise. What makes you an expert in your field?
I decided early on, or maybe Rich decided, we were dating. And that's how I got into this business.
Okay.
Yeah. And after a year and a half in the business, 2 years, I wanted to move to a different environment, a more professional environment. And I started interviewing with different companies. And Rich said to me, well, where do you have to end up? We had this discussion about where I was going to move. And he said, well, listen, why don't you just do it now? Because if you can't make it, you should get the hell out. I thought to myself, he's right. If I can't, if I'm not going to make it, I'm going to make it now or I'm going to go. And I was just bound and determined to make a success out of moving to the industry and being my own boss.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah. So
that's cool. So now let me ask you this question, because your husband said, if you can't make it now, then get out. So how do you define success? I
define success very differently than I did back then. When I entered the industry, I really didn't understand I was opening my own business and what that would entail. I didn't even think of myself as going into sales, right? I was going to consult with people. I was going into real estate. I mean, every business owner, I am a business owner, and every business owner, their primary job is to sell. I mean, everybody in the company sells at one level or another. But I didn't understand any of that in the beginning. In the beginning, it was just I was going to make more money in real estate than what I was making before I entered real estate.
Okay.
That was the only benchmark. That my idea of success has morphed over the years, and we have a son. My husband and I have a son, and he plays lacrosse. He's in college now, and the goal was to be able to take time away from our business to support him and be at his games, and even through high school, to be at his lacrosse games, his wrestling matches. This was important. Family's very important to us. And I mean, we support people with their families every day. That's what we do. It's always a quality of life issue. You know, you're moving because of your family.
Right.
You know, whether that's an individual, a couple, or a whole crew of people, multi-generations. So my idea of success kind of morphed into that. I want security, or my financial security for my family. I wanted to be able to take time away from the business and not have my clients miss a beat in any way, be well taken care of, even if I was going to be at a lacrosse game all afternoon. And now I'm looking at the end of my business and gearing up for succession planning, you know,
Nice.
and be retiring eventually. And
Right.
so success has changed over the years.
Awesome. I like that, because that's what I feel too. I think that, you know, it's called stories of success, but it's not like there's this one, I hit this mark, I'm successful. You know, it's over now, I can just lay down. It's an evolution, and I'm kind of the same way. When I started my business, I just wanted to make just enough to pay the bills and, you know, eat and stay chunky. And then over time, it was like, okay, well, you know, I'm doing okay there, but now what? I don't want to work as many hours. Oh, I would like to be able to have some time off. Quality of life then starts to factor in. And so success is an evolution to me. You know, and we do have plateaus where we stop and we say, okay, I did this, you know, but there's still more to be done. So I like that, because success is definitely a journey. I keep saying that all the time. Every time I have these interviews, it seems like I say it. It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
At the same time, I ask you though, do you consider your business to be successful?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I mean, here we are in a pandemic, which, I mean, nobody could have envisioned where we are today at the beginning of the year. I just mentioned this the other day to somebody. 40 days ago, we were in the healthiest real estate market we've seen in 13 years. You know, that was not so long ago, and I think we'll be back there, but we're in a position where, you know, we're in this place, and despite the fact that all businesses have been so severely affected through this thing, I'm not worried financially that I'm going to survive this. So that's success. That we're going to wait this out. It's a bump in the road, but we'll be okay. I think that's success for a lot of people right now.
I think it is too. It's ironic. I was just watching the news today, and it was a gentleman on who is a real estate, I think, agent in Florida. And he's on food lines right now because, you know, they live from check to check. But to have a business, like you said, especially in this new environment, and to say, you know what, I mean, I'm not happy, but I'm not panicking. I built something that is success. I completely agree. Now, let me ask you this question. How have you made that possible? How have you made your business success possible?
So I think the biggest lesson I learned was in the last big, long, ugly downturn that we had. So and again, I don't think that this pandemic is going to have that same, we think this is like a V-shaped recovery curve instead of that long, ugly recovery. But when the last, you know, our industry, the market was moving so quickly and the numbers were going up, and we were sloppy about our finances, our personal finances. And when it hit, it was a crunch because our cash flow went from 30 days to 90 days, like overnight, and then got even longer. What we learned during that is you need to have significant reserves so that you don't feel that up and down. And that's what we did. We started looking at, and it took a lot of years, Mark. It wasn't to build reserves. You know this. You're a numbers guy. This stuff takes a long time. You put away a little, you know, month in, month out, year in, year out, and then you can survive long term when you've got this long dry spell. we always hope for consistency in what we do, but there are periods of time where it's feast or famine in the real estate industry. So you want to have reserves in place and guidelines in place for how you manage your dollars. So if you've got a great month, you don't run out and take advantage of the sale at Nordstrom's, or whatever the case might be. You look at that income coming in, and a portion needs to be put away for savings, for taxes, for expenses. I mean, we learned it the hard way, but a check comes in and it gets cut up that way. That's
nice.
The work.
That's incredible because, that's one of the big things that I see with clients that I work with. Some of them, I mean, they are multi-million-dollar companies, but they live penny to penny, and it's cash flow management. So, all of these things kind of inspired me to talk to business owners to learn what mistakes to avoid and things of that nature. And so in my ebook, I wrote one of the keys to success is to know your numbers, right? Understand your profit margins, understand cash flow. And that way you can start to set aside business and personal reserves, because nothing is this steep incline in life, nowhere, right? And so if you don't budget and know your numbers to say, this is how I want to handle the cash when it's good, when it's bad, you're going to be in trouble. And that's why so many businesses are failing. So you've mastered that, it sounds like. You know your numbers.
I don't know. I do know my numbers. I do know my numbers, but it didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't easy. And I'm still not, I look at the budget. I have a budget. I review the budget. I might be off budget, but I know what the numbers should be, even when I'm off by a little bit. And I know enough that I can look and say, well, why is that so high? What happened there? And, so yeah, because everything's numbers, right? Everything we do is numbers. And this goes back to, me being the rainmaker. I know how many contacts until I get a lead. How many leads does it take me to get to a close? What's my average sales price? What's my average paycheck on a sale? So ultimately, how many contacts do I need to make to get me to where I need to be at the end of the year? So it's, lead measures and lag measures, right? The lag is how much you actually produce, but the lead is how many contacts are you making? How many people are you touching? How many events are you going to? How many relationships are you cultivating? This is what's important, because you can't control the other end of it. Like right now, you can't control what's going to happen in a pandemic.
Who you telling, right? So it sounds like we touched on it a little bit. You talked about mentors. How have mentors and coaches contributed to your success? And just based on our conversation, are you intending to be a mentor?
I have mentored people in the past, and I'm happy to. I think when you mentor somebody, you are at the top of your game, because you gotta polish it up to bring it on for somebody else. And so I think everybody wins when you mentor somebody. You've got to be that shining example, right? When you're a mentor. Very early on, relatively early on, when I got a coach, I would work with the coach, and I was very frustrated because my husband was not doing the same function that I was. And I learned two things. One, you have a partnership so that you can play to the strengths of each partner. You shouldn't be duplicating the work. You should be doing A and he should be doing B, right? You divide and conquer. So that was one. And two, I remember the day the coach said to me, maybe you're the front end and he's the back end. Like, you're both not going to be doing client acquisition. You got to get the clients. He's got to make sure they're serviced properly. And these are our strengths. Rich is much more, I'm more of a driver. He's much more patient, and he's more of a facilitator. You know, he's much more patient, and he can take a step back and make sure all the pieces are in place. I like to start and finish. I don't like any of that stuff in the middle. So we know where our strengths and weaknesses are, and we complement each other. And the same with Judy. She, you know, she does not want to be belly to belly with a client. Her strength is in researching and figuring different things out, making sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. That's her domain, you know, and she's just not wired to be belly to belly with people.
And I think that's a good thing when you know each person's strength, then you can say, well, you do you and I'll do me, and we can together create this piece. And a lot of times, you know, I think that's what a good coach does. I work with a client and it's like a family. So it's brothers, and each one has different strengths. And, you know, obviously they're looking at what they do and this one doesn't do this. And we're trying to identify, this is your strength, this is your strength, this is your strength. Let's plug the holes and make a perfect connection. So a good coach is going to kind of help you to understand that, which you might not understand on your own when you're starting out, right? I'm just trying to get stuff done. And so it's like looking at all of the pieces and putting it together that makes it valuable. Sounds like if you're talking succession, you might end up being a coach yourself. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows? Once you have the model, it's awesome because you can help people. So on that coaching note, what advice would you give to a new business owner?
So I would tell them to read the E-Myth Revisited, because it talks about, you know, you're an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, you as a business owner, you're doing everything yourself. You're just trying to get it all done. And you have to, you can't do it all. You can't be the guy behind the counter all day and be taking the 20,000-foot look and be out there looking for new business. So there's got to be some kind of division of labor, even if you're allocating your own time to different things. But you probably need help in some areas, and you shouldn't be afraid to get that help through. I'm not advocating, oh, let me hire a bunch of people. There are ways to get help without taking, you know, coaching, part-time, hiring companies that have specific functions that can take one area, like marketing, that can take that off your plate to a large degree and just run with it, so that you can focus your efforts on what you're best at and what you need to do for your business.
Awesome.
So take that, remember that you're a business owner. You didn't go into business just to give yourself a job. You've got to look at the whole enchilada and figure out how that's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you there. One of the things that I like about the E-Myth book that was different for me, and like, you know, you can be in business for years and be okay, but say, man, if I had known that, you know, one of the things that they had mentioned was like creating an org chart. You know, so when I work with my clients now, I create an org chart for smaller clients. The org chart has maybe 10 different roles, and their name is in every single one. That's okay. Right. That's how we start. But once you understand that there are tasks and roles, you can start to plug new names in over time. And that's a smart thing. That's a smart way to structure your business. Structure it for success now. As you grow, it'll be a lot less pain. So yeah, I love that piece of advice.
And you also have to say, you know, again, numbers, right? What do I want to make? So to make that, how much per hour I have to earn? I'm making up numbers here. I want to earn $100 an hour, let's pretend. If there is a function that you can pay somebody $10 or $20 an hour to do, you shouldn't be spending time doing that work or overtime when you have the ability, because you can't make that 100 if you're spending all your time doing something for $20 an hour, right? So it's knowing those numbers and picking apart, you know, taking a hard look at what would it really cost for me to get somebody to work on this virtually, maybe, or part-time or whatever.
Absolutely. Reverse engineering your numbers to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me ask you this question, which ties into the new business owner. If you could go back to right before you started your business, what advice would you give yourself?
Um, I would, I would tell myself that my primary business is finding the next client. And that's where I need to focus my efforts, having a long-term view. And one of the best ways you can do that, and I don't care what your business is by providing exceptional service, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I provide you exceptional service, you're going to feel compelled to refer me to somebody else.
Yes.
And so my business is going to grow. So when you have a client, you want to take incredible care of that client. That's only going to serve your business in filling that sales pipeline, and reminding that client that you really appreciate any referral that they can give you, because that's how your business is going to grow.
Absolutely. Cool, cool. I like that because, obviously, what I learned a long time, or one of my coaches taught me, he said, what do you do for a living? If you say you're an accountant, you're making a mistake. I sell accounting services, right? And it's a slight nuance, but it changes things, right? I don't actually have to do the numbers to provide the service for my client. But the one thing I need to make sure of is that every client is completely satisfied with my service. And so once they're completely satisfied with my service, now I can grow and do other things with other clients. And so that's really critical. And that's a piece of advice that maybe if you learn it earlier, then later you'll grow to success even faster.
And as corollary to that, when we sell people homes, you become intimate, really intimate with them. And true of your business too, Mark. You need to understand their numbers, why they're there, where they come from. You get very close to somebody's business, and in our case, somebody's family. And early on, I would do a great job and then fail to keep in touch with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that maintaining a long-term relationship was important for my business, and it was really leaning into who I was and how, just transparency in what I was doing, because you need to, if you're doing business with somebody, you need to know them, like them, and trust them, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I didn't, you would be, in bed with these people for a couple of months, and then boom, the sale would close, and that would be the end of it. But
Mm-hmm.
we're a resource for those people. I've got clients from year one in the business that I am still in touch with and still doing business, sometimes second and third generation in their families. I didn't know very early on, that I needed to structure a system for staying in touch with these people so I could continue to be a resource.
Nice.
That I've only mastered in the last 15 years. I think, the first 10 years or so, I didn't get that. And when I got it, it's one foot in front of the other. Well, how do you do that? And we remind them that for example, we've got great resources to all kinds of people that we bring to bear in a real estate transaction. But you're going to need a painter maybe years down the road, or tax services, or a contractor, a plumber, a babysitter, a nursery school, all kinds of things. And we developed a system for reminding our clients, we're here if you need it. We're happy to provide you with the resources. We do events for our clients, and different events for different segments of our database. But again, it's a way of staying in touch with our clientele. Hey, I'm trying to think of one of our recent, and we've been doing things virtually. So for example, in the pandemic, we did a family scavenger hunt for people with small children at home. So, I'd be going nuts if I had kids cooped up in the house over time. So we invited people to a Zoom scavenger hunt at night, and it would be, okay, go find something with 4 legs, and the kids would run off and then come back to the computer with, their cat or their little plastic dinosaur or whatever it was. But this is just an example of an event that we do for our clients, and a way that we stay in touch. So we do different seminars and then different fun things. And it's fun for us because we get to see them again. You
Right.
people aren't going to move again anytime soon, but we can create that, maintain that relationship. And they've also got top of mind awareness. So
Absolutely.
somebody does say, hey, we've got to sell our house. Hey, you've got to call my realtor.
That's right. That's right. That's absolutely correct. And so now you have a welcome home community.
That's right.
That's
That's
awesome.
right.
Awesome. So I think we're running up on the last couple of minutes. So I just wanted to ask you one question, which I don't think I asked you. Usually we do like a weekly vibe session, but I'm not gonna answer that question because I want this one more. What is the single most important quality you think is required to be a successful business owner?
Grit. Yeah. You've got to, discipline. You got to get your butt out of bed in the morning and get up and get on it and stick to that routine and monitor those numbers and do the stuff you don't want to do day in and day out. One foot in front of the other, or you're not going to make it. It doesn't come easy, and you can't be undisciplined if you're a business owner. We're in a pandemic. I still get up at 5 o'clock. I do my reading. I organize my day. I exercise. I hit the phones. I still maintain that discipline, and not so easy some days, but you can't give yourself the luxury of not being focused.
Nice. Thank you very much. I love that answer. One of my other podcasts, someone said grit too, but yeah, discipline, because some days it's not easy, but when you're your own boss, if you're going to have success, you got to hold yourself accountable, and you've got to do the tasks that make you successful. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much, Maria. We appreciate your time. I think you gave us a lot of valuable information. If you're a real estate agent or broker, they need to put this in their archives and look at this every so often, because if they want to be successful, they can follow the pattern that you said. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing more about your future successes.
Thanks, Mark.
All right.